There we go. Hey, all right. Today we're on the Tech Ed Clubhouse podcast with none other than Liz Gallo from Whymaker.com. Liz, what can you tell us about yourself and Whymaker?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. So I was a technology education teacher for 10 years, and I started Whymaker 6.5 years ago. I started Whymaker to make every class like my tech ed class. And I wanted kids all day long to be doing hands-on projects, to be doing design thinking work, to be doing STEM, to be doing computer science. So I started Whymaker to do professional development with other educators on how to teach in this hands-on, minds-on way. Um, and Whymaker has evolved over 6.5 years. We now write curriculum for private businesses and government agencies and nonprofit foundations. We do professional development with teachers in all types of instructional strategies and all topics and all STEM products. And we also resell a ton of STEM products. So you can check all those out on our store.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier today. You got lots of neat stuff up there, and you break down, your process, what you do. It's an awesome resource, and that's Whymaker, WhyMaker. I can spell WY W.
No.
Okay, it's Monday. I'll put it in the show notes. Whymaker, the word Whymaker.com. So it's an awesome website. And you're a female owned business in New York State, which is an oddity as well. So that's a
Yeah,
great. Go ahead.
we're a certified women-owned business in New York State, New York City, and we are use that a lot for government contracts. So a lot of schools, a lot of government agencies have requirements where a portion of their funds have to go to certified MWBEs, so minority and women-owned businesses. Uh, and it also makes contracting a lot easier for schools, so we love working with people who have those needs and we can fulfill them.
And it's in a field that is typically not populated by a lot of females as business owners, and right, because STEM is, I hate the stereotype, but I'm going to hear a little bit. But typically STEM fields and tech fields are male dominated. So that's an awesome, and I think most of your employees are women as well, aren't they? I know a few of your trainers.
Yeah, most of our employees are female. Um, we have some fantastic males that work for us. We have an incredibly diverse staff of trainers with tons of different
Yes,
experience, curriculum writers with tons of different experience. And all those diverse experiences really create for rich, meaningful work that we produce.
definitely. And I've seen some of your work, and I've heard you speak at some conferences and seen some of the stuff and talk to people, and just some amazing stuff coming out.
No, thank
And
you.
speaking of that, you mentioned earlier, and we've talked previously. You got this private and public workforce development thing, which is huge, and I think that's something that's needed in education right now. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've discovered a need in this space recently where private businesses or government agencies or nonprofit foundations have this phenomenal mission where they are doing great work and they want to get that mission out to K-12 education and they just don't know how to do it. So at Whymaker, we act as the intermediary between these private businesses, government agencies, and nonprofit foundations and K-12 education. So we've had some really amazing experiences so far with this work, and we're really looking for more exciting and interesting things to do because there's so much possibility. And I truly believe that our public school system is fantastic. I am 100% pro public education.
Definitely.
Uh, I think there is a lot of opportunity for private business to come in and support fantastic work that our public education system is doing in this country so that our students are graduating high school ready to enter that private or government or nonprofit workforce.
So when you talk about that, what does that look like? What can you give us an example of I mean, I kind of have an idea, but can you give us an example of something you how that partnership works between the schools and the businesses?
Yep. So I'll tell you about three partnerships that we've done recently in the past like year. So the first one is with Community Offshore Wind, which is an offshore wind developer who is working to build wind turbines off the coast of Long Island, New Jersey, and the whole eastern seaboard. They reached out to us to develop something for them to take into after school programs, Saturday programs, push into schools for in school field trips. And what we wound up designing for them was this hands on game that is just like the game Operation, where you have this board and you have a wind turbine with all these cutouts in it. And you have all the pieces to build the wind turbine. You have the tower, you have the foundation, you have the nacelle, you have the blades. And students have to work together in teams to build the wind turbine by dropping the pieces into the operation board. And if they touch the sides, it buzzes and they have to try again. And instead of removing the pieces like you would in the game of operation, you're installing the wind turbine. So we built this game for them, and now Community Offshore Wind is out in schools and after school programs and you know, community-based organizations doing this activity with students all around the areas where they're trying to work and grow their community. So we love that project. That is an
So
amazing project, and we're eager to continue.
just to break in here real quick, is this a physical game? So this is a
It's a
physical,
physical,
it's not
hands-on.
digital. This is something you're going to build a wind tower, a wind turbine when you're done.
Yep, you're gonna. It's a model, right? So it looks
Right.
like the game of operation. It's very similar to the game of operation,
Okay.
right? Where you're taking the pieces out of the body. It's a flat game, and
Okay.
you're putting in the pieces of the wind turbine.
But my point being it's physical.
Yeah,
It's not,
physical.
we're not making something buzz on screen. It's
No.
actual
Oh,
working parts, and you can talk about the parts as you're doing it. And
yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's tactile and
Yes.
again, hands-on, minds-on,
Yep.
play-based, having some fun. Sorry,
Yep.
I
The
had to
kids love
interject
it.
that to make sure,
Yeah.
that, I was on the right page because sometimes I'm not very smart with that things, and everything's you
Yep.
talk about
You got
games
it.
and a lot of people immediately go to, oh, it's going to be a computer game because it's pretty simple to,
Mm.
it's a little bit easier to share, and a
Mm-hmm.
little bit cheaper
Mm-hmm.
to make, but you need the tactile, the hands-on. So
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think also people think about games like, oh, that's just a game. We're not
Right.
going to learn anything. But these kids are learning every single part of the
Hmm.
turbine. They have to build it in order. You can't put the blades on before you have the foundation and the tower and the nacelle. You have to put the tower in before you put the blades on. And it's teamwork. So they're working to how are they working together in all these different careers to build this? Because it's not one person is building a wind turbine.
Right.
Everyone's combined doing it together. So it is a really powerful game to really support their learning all about wind turbines in a
Yeah.
after school quick setting.
That's awesome. That sounds
Yeah.
exciting and different and a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, a lot of soft skills going into that
Yep.
um our kids are going to need to succeed in that when
Mm-hmm.
they leave the classroom.
Yep. So we don't call them soft skills, we call them essential workplace skills because they are essential to living your life. Nothing about collaborating and teamwork and showing up on time and managing a project is soft.
Love that. Love that.
Essential.
Preaching to the choir
Hmm.
there.
I know.
Love that.
So, another project that we did was out actually in Minneapolis, where the school district received funding from a large farming company, a company that produces a significant amount of farming tech. and they funded the school district to increase uh, computer science and technical literacy in the district because they recognized that Minneapolis was one of the last cities in the country to install computer science education into their school. So students that they were hiring were technologically illiterate, and they needed more technologically literate graduates of Minneapolis public schools. So we went in, and every second and eighth grade classroom in the district received a robotics kit and enough for the class. And we came in and
Awesome.
did professional development with the teachers on how to use that in their classroom, and the librarians and coaches, and was a great project that was super intensive over a couple of months.
I
But
bet.
we really built capacity within the district to do that.
Yeah, and again, it's another physical product that you're seeing interact with, not just stuff on the screen.
Yeah, physical robotics.
Yeah,
Yep,
in
yep.
second and eighth grade, and that's quite the
Hmm.
a lot of people don't think, oh, sometimes us educators um are the ones holding our kids back in that regard, and it's nice to see that
Hmm.
they're challenging the second graders to
Yeah.
be to be. And what was the robot that you were using with that?
We were using Sphero Indy with the second graders and
Nice.
Sphero Bolt with the eighth graders.
And
Yeah.
great products, a lot of
Hmm.
open-endedness there too. So a lot of creativity, a lot of the four
Yep.
C's into that, creativity,
Yep.
collaboration, creative, all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Awesome.
So with our little kids, what we know is that if we teach them computational thinking language
Mhm.
prior to introducing them to computer science, their ability to succeed in computer science goes up um, pretty high. Versus kids that are just learning computer science without learning computational thinking language prior. So a lot of the work we did with the second graders and the second grade teachers was boosting their computational thinking language um, and the vocabulary around that, and then coming in with the robots after to talk about how do you build an algorithm, how do you debug your algorithm, how do you decompose a big problem into smaller steps, and those are all the things that Indy does so great for littles.
And again, those are going back to the previous one. Those are all your essential workplace skills. Those are things that
Mm-hmm.
kids and adults are going to need um, outside of the classroom that we don't
Yep.
necessarily, some teachers, some educators just kind of leave behind sometimes because
Yep.
of state mandates and what and we got to cover this and all that stuff. And that's awesome because you're hitting STEM, math, science, technology. You're doing some English language arts, and even possibly pulling in, depending upon how robust you can get, some social studies content. You could pull in some history and
Yep.
some local regional content, and tie it
Mm-hmm.
to, and again, make it relevant to the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pull in
Yep.
that PBL
Yep.
piece. Awesome. And what was
Mm-hmm.
the third one you're doing?
So the third one is for older kids. We are working with an engineering and construction company in partnership with SUNY University. And we built out an internship program for high school students. So through this internship, high schoolers got paid through the STEP program, SYEP, Student Youth Employment Program, which is a federally funded program for people of ages 14 to 24 for summer internships. And with the with this program, we built out a whole curriculum to teach kids all about energy generation, distribution, electric vehicles. We did a whole bunch of workplace essential skills. We took them on tours. They saw an off the grid tiny home. They saw the electricity generation station on the campus that they were on. And by the end of the project, students designed and submitted to the campus that they were on, so the people who are in charge of this on the campus a plan for where the campus should install more EV charging stations based on what they knew about energy demand, energy generation, where all the transmission lines were on the campus, where the demand of people driving would be,
Ooh.
how many people, how many cars were coming into parking lots, at what time of day that would need to charge, where they should be in the parking lots. It's this whole comprehensive study and plan that incorporated the tech and that human centered element of how do we build this so it's best for the people that are using it.
So yeah, that's more than just, hey, let's put charging stations on our campus. Where do you think we should put them? Oh, I think we should just put them over here in the corner. They
Mm-hmm.
did studies and they went out and talked to people. Did they have to present to, like, you said they had to present their findings to a committee of some sort?
Yeah, the person in charge of electricity generation on the campus.
And that's here in New York State, you said? Was it, I missed
Yep. Long Island. Yep.
Long Island. So cool. I mean, we got some, I
Yeah.
mean, in the region I'm in, I'm up here by Niagara Falls, a couple hours from Niagara Falls. They generate a little bit of electricity up there. Um,
Yep.
with a little bit of hydropower, from one of the wonders of the world there. Um,
Yep.
so yeah,
We also
that's
have we have a big partnership with NYPA, the people who generate the electricity at Niagara Falls.
mhm.
And we do a ton of work with them. We're designing new curriculum now and new lesson plans about electricity generation and transmission across the state, energy efficiency, renewables, battery storage. So there's a lot of interesting lessons that will be coming out, but NYPA has some great lessons already in their like virtual learning center, all about that you can use in your classroom. That would be so great for educating kids on all different electricity things.
Yeah, I mean, those three things, I mean, those are three very different things. I mean, that's quite the robust platform, or portfolio you guys have there for making some school to work
Yeah.
connections, right? So on top of just on top of the curriculum and on top of the the lessons and stuff like that, you're also, and I may be off base here a little bit, but you're making connections between the employer and potential
Mm-hmm.
employees,
Yes.
with skills that they know, they know these kids, one, are going to show up, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, I talk to a lot of employers around my area here in Jamestown, and what's one of the big things is getting kids to show up,
Yep.
and teaching those essential skills. Because the hard skills, the technical side, the kids will get the technical aspects, the knowledge of energy transmission, for example, or computer science. Um, they get them into the companies. Those companies are going to train them on that, because each
Mm-hmm.
somebody does them a little bit different. So, um, how's that work with the corporations, with the private industry, and or your not profits, and the government agencies with the kids? Do you see a big transition of kids leaving a high school, maybe going an alternative path, not to college, but going into some of these employers, or doing some type
Uh,
of internships?
yeah. Yeah. So we don't have those specific stats at the
Right.
moment, right? Because this is
Fairly new.
year, 2 years old. Yeah. But we do know that last year there was a decline in the amount of high school students who enrolled in four-year university.
Right.
Um, yeah, which is a really interesting
Mhm.
statistic to be paying attention to. Um, it there are so many careers that are high paying, living wage, family sustaining in your local community
Mhm.
that do not require a four-year degree. And a lot of the work that we do is encouraging and supporting into that. Um, and I agree with you that yes, jobs will say that they'll train new hires on how to do the technical work. But how much better is it if
Right.
the students are already coming into that job with a little bit of the technical knowledge
Right.
already? We're not starting from scratch,
Right.
and those workplace essential skills, and not showing up is like a huge thing. But
Mhm.
also, if you're not going to show up, figure out how to pick up the phone and make the call to say, I'm sick, I'm not coming in. Right. So a lot of CTE teachers spend a lot of time with kids practicing those things. Right. A lot of CTE teachers that we work with on our CTE work, they make students call in sick to school. You have to call me, the teacher, and tell me you're going to be
Right.
sick to practice developing those skills. So CTE education is phenomenal,
Mhm.
especially in New York State. The New York State CTE TAC, the Technical Assistance Center, has done phenomenal
Mhm.
work increasing educators' capacities throughout the state. And I say all the time, like, even if you're in a CTE program for auto body and you decide you don't want to do auto body, the skills you get
Mhm.
from being in that program outperform any traditional graduate. That's a very lofty statement that just came out of my mouth, but
Yeah, it is.
you know, being able to call in sick to work, to manage a complex project, to collaborate effectively with your team when you're in a tight situation. Like, all of those skills are so important that kids are getting in CTE programs all across the state, the country.
Right. And on the flip side of that, not only like calling in sick, but once you're in that position, taking advantage of opportunities that are inside that company. I know like my son worked at Cummins Engine on the assembly line for a couple summers, made some pretty good money. Um,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of people in the building up here in Lakewood that they started on the assembly line and now they're in trainer positions or they're in technical positions, and companies will help you move up into other positions just
Mhm.
knowing that you're going to show up and advocate for yourself and be able to talk and
Right.
communicate and collaborate and show that you're going to some initiative. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of the CTE programs uh, do a lot of that stuff. And I had a conversation with somebody along those lines, and maybe you can expand on this a little bit. But it's a lot of it is like just built into what you're doing. It's not like an explicit, hey, we're explicitly teaching you, you know, show up skills, right?
Mhm.
We're not necessarily, I mean, we do a little bit, but a lot of those essential skills are just foundational and just a part of it that you learn just by coming to the class, just because you
Yep. The
have to, because that's,
culture.
yes, nature
Mhm.
versus nurture type of thing. Um,
Yep. Your
and it,
teammates are depending on you in this
mhm,
class, and you learn that. If we're cooking, we're in a culinary class and we're cooking a meal for the faculty, and I'm the pastry chef, and I decide I just don't want to show up, I've now let my whole team down. I've let
right,
the whole faculty down. Like, that is not an option. And I think that's what instills also.
right. And then you get that little bit of pride in what you're doing too. You get
Oh, the pride.
yeah,
Yeah, the
you
pride is
start.
so great.
I know we have some kids in our one of our programs. One of the things that happened here, and this is just these are kids that, you know, in a math class, in a history class, in an ELA class, they might be the class clown, right?
Mhm.
But we got this program where they're building an ice castle up at the north end of our lake. They're harvesting. We finally got some ice on the lake that we can harvest, and they're having a festival next week. So the kids talked to their BOCES instructor. They talked to the administrators at the school, and they got permission to leave school to go build this castle as part of their, I believe it's conservation classes, or where they operate. It's conservation, but they operate heavy machinery, forklifts, backhoes, that type of thing. So they're out, but these are kids that's what they're going to do with their life,
Love it.
and
And
they go
shout out to those administrators who gave them the permission to
right.
let those kids take risks and know that and saw that. And this project that these kids are going to be doing is they're going to remember it for the rest of their life. They're not going to remember the English test that they missed or whatever, right? They're going to remember this project and shout out to those administrators for letting that happen.
Yeah,
And the
I'm
teachers for supporting those kids too.
100%. And these are kids that they show up in the shop class and, and
Mhm.
I have these discussions with teachers all the time. Like that kid that's doing this project might not be able to do area and volume in your math class, but it's going to be at the CTE class is going to be pouring a driveway for somebody or get into concrete work and be able to stand at the end of your driveway and do that high level math
Mhm.
in his head or her. I mean, I don't want to stereotype because it could be, I mean, we get just, it doesn't matter, but they're going to be able to do that math because it means something to them and they have experience in it. And they're going to be
Right.
able to give you that quote where, in math class, it's doesn't mean anything to them. So I think
Yeah.
there's a hidden benefit of some of these CTE things and a lot of these things you're doing and promoting over there at Whymaker. Um, um, yeah, so those are some cool things. I love what you're doing. I
Yeah.
love those things. What else you got going on? Anything else you want to
I mean,
share?
we have 100 things going
I
on.
mean, well,
So
yeah,
we
good.
have we have another partnership with NYSERDA, the New York State Energy
Hmm.
Research Development Authority, where we are training 600 educators on New York State's Climate Act. So we are traveling around the state, hosting 1 day workshops where teachers join us. Teachers get paid to join us. They get a whole bag of materials to take back to
Right.
their classroom, get CTLE credits, get breakfast and lunch. You get to meet like-minded people, and we have a full day of hands-on professional development where we learn all about different types of energies that our state is using to be more resilient, reliant, sustainable. Learn all about the Climate Act, learn all about environmental justice to really support that movement in the state.
So you got a lot of stuff going on over there. So if somebody wants to find out more, now let's get some important
Mhm.
stuff. So we got to send some people over to see you now.
Yeah.
Um, because I can't spell obviously today.
So,
Where am I going to get a hold of you? Where am I going to socials? Obviously the website, and I'll
mhm.
put all this stuff in the show notes later on.
Yeah. So our website is whymaker.com, WHYMAKER.com. And our socials are also Whymaker, WHYMAKER, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, Facebook. We're all over everywhere you want us to be. So you can check us out there. You can send us an email. You can connect with our contact form on our website. Check out our web store and see our shop and see what cool products we have there because we pick products that we would use in our classroom and that are of high quality and high value and aren't gonna like fall apart the second you touch them.
That's
So,
that's huge.
uh, yeah,
So you're not
yeah,
just
and
pushing
that like,
products
yeah,
to push products. You're pushing out things that
no,
you believe in.
yes, yeah,
That's awesome.
totally, and a lot of great products on our website that do that, and a lot of unique stuff, and a lot of up and coming stuff for New York State, which I'm excited about. Um, So yeah, check that out. Yeah, you can always reach out and get in touch and we'll set up a call and we'll chat and maybe you'll join one of our clean energy educator workshops because we have a couple hundred more teachers that we need to train.
Great. We'll get that word out there. Any final thoughts as we wrap up for today? What's
Yeah.
up with Liz and Whymaker
Mm.
and anything coming up that we need to like other than the clean energy things.
No, I know your audience is mostly educators, so I just want educators to be reminded that those private businesses in your local community, like Dan, you said, Cummings Engine, reach out to them.
Hmm.
They want to partner with your school. They want to be a good neighbor. How can you build a relationship with them? Even if it is just a Zoom interview with one of the people that works there to hear about their day to day. That is going to impact your students and stay with your students, um, and really help them understand what careers exist in the world. It doesn't have to be an elaborate project where you're building an operation board game, right? It could just be
Right.
something simple like an interview or a video, or invite them into your class to give feedback to your students on a project. And it could be STEM related or it could be humanities related. As a
Right.
local newspaper working with my ELA class, is the local museum working with our history class. Let's stop having our classrooms be in such isolation and pretend like they're their own little bubble away from our community. They are so important parts of our community, and that relationship, building those, will help our kids so much.
And that little blurb right there could be a whole hour long podcast in and of itself, as getting that community members in, because they're
Yeah.
they want to, they're hiring our kids. They're,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be, again, like you said, it could be just a Zoom call. It could be a Friday morning breakfast with donuts, right? Bring them in,
Mm-hmm.
throw some donuts and coffee in the meeting room, have them come in and talk to some kids, right? I mean, it's not a heavy lift. It's not a heavy
Nope.
lift to get that involved, to start that conversation. And like we say, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You know,
They say no,
they're they're
and you're in the
they're
same position you are now.
they want to come. You see those people at the grocery store every day. You see those people in,
Mm-hmm.
wherever out in the public, at the mall, whatever, at Target or Walmart or whatever. Yeah, reach out. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yep.
You
Yep.
got some great,
And
and you got,
even,
go ahead.
yeah, the local grocery store, the Target, like they
Right.
all also have local programs to help support.
Whether you're in a small community, I mean, it might be a little bit easier in a small community to get them come in, but even in a big community, like on Long Island and
Mm-hmm.
in New York City and Buffalo and Rochester, they're there. They want to come in. So reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Liz, this has been awesome. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
your time. I always learn something talking to you. It's always a great conversation, and I leave more inspired than when I came in. And like you said, find that like-minded person. Find that person and get out of your classroom. Open the door, go down the hall, see somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Go outside, go across the street and find someone also.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me talk about the work that we've done, and I'm like, eager to continue. So thank you.
Awesome. And all this stuff will be in the show notes. Check it out. Talk to Liz. She's always ready for a talk. I mean, she talks to me, so I mean, you'll probably have a more intelligent conversation with her than I do, because it's me. But
Yeah,
it's all good. We love it. We love it in like-minded stuff. So thanks again, Liz, and we'll talk to you again later.
yeah, thank you.